Welcome back to the series. If you're here for the first time, this is a series about Gravity Forms and PayPal Sandbox. In the previous part of the series, we created a multi-page Gravity form with conditional logic. In this one, we will create two different payment feeds with PayPal standard add-on using more conditional logic. Then connect them with the PayPal Sandbox and perform transactions. Now let's have a quick overview. All right, we are back at our diagram. In the last video, we finished successfully creating our multi-page Gravity form with conditional logic, which is this guy right here. In this one, we will first set up the debug logging with Gravity and set up IPN or instant payment notification with PayPal Sandbox. Then create two separate feeds to handle subscription and one-time payments, and they will also be configured to connect to PayPal Sandbox. And once we do, we will perform transactions to see if they're successful. Let's get started. All right, we're back at the site. Let's go to the backend, and this time we're going to configure the Gravity logging by going to Forms and Settings. And once we are here, as you can see here, only 4 items. This PayPal is the standard add-on and the rest is usual. But once we enable logging, which is here, and save settings, now we have this new item showing up called logging, and this will give us the API, the core, and the standard add-on, all the logs. And we will be using these logs to verify our success or failure of our transactions. And also at the end, these guys will be used to write the code necessary and utilize the hooks that Gravity form offers us. All right, so now let's set up the IPN by going here. And normally it's unchecked like that, but once I check it and hit update settings, and then this URL shows up, this is the one that we have to use in our PayPal Sandbox backend to set up the IPN. Let's go see how it's done. Okay, so we are at the PayPal Sandbox and using this business account, I'm about to log in. And while this is happening, let's go grab the URL that PayPal gave us. Let's copy that. All right, so once we are here, we have to go under profiles, actually under account settings. And once we get here, notifications, and this is where we find the instant payment notifications or IPN update. So once you come here for the first time, this is what it looks like. So then you have to choose IPN settings, and this is where you paste in that URL and say that receive IPN messages, enable, save. Boom, done. So this is how we enable the Gravity logging and set up IPN with the Sandbox account. So now let's go create the feeds, the 2 feeds to handle subscription and one-time payments. Okay, all right, we are back at the site backend, and this is our form. And to set up the payment feeds, we have to go Settings and PayPal. Let's go to the other screen. Okay, and now here we click Add New and name it Payment Subscription. And this is the most important part. This is where the Sandbox email address should go in, and this needs to be configured to set as test, right? So let's go grab that. So this is our business email address for the Sandbox. Just to show you, they give you by default 1 personal and 1 business. basically what happens is the personal one is for the buyer and the business one is for the seller. So since we are setting up a seller's platform, so let's go grab the business one and put it right here. And this is the one that will connect us all the way to our sandbox. And here we choose what type of transaction we're going to handle, subscription. Once we do, this comes up. And one billing cycle, so let's set up for monthly. And it's going to go on forever, that's fine. Recurring amount from the total. It's the form total that shows up under the transaction, which is this guy right here. And other than that, we don't really have much of a fields going on. Only important thing here is condition. And we choose a payment type here and set up with subscription and update. Now we have our subscription payment feed is set up and connected with the PayPal sandbox. So let's do another one. This is normally the standard one. And we're going to type one time and paste that same email address, set it to test, products and services, which is have the drop down, form total, first name, last name are matching, and we don't really have too many fields. To make it less complicated, enable the condition. Choose a payment type, this time one time, update, and when we go back, we have both of our transaction feeds are set up and ready to go. Now it is time for us to test our form to make sure the transactions are going right. Let's do it. All right, we are back at the front end, and it is time for us to test our form to make sure everything works right. So let's go do an AAA, BBB. Let's choose one time first. All right, let's buy about 4 of them. $40, great. Submit. Okay, so this is where we use the personal credentials. So let's go grab that. This is the one I mean. So let's go see. Okay, so let's grab this email. Okay, so let's go in. All right, we are ready to pay. Pay now. All right, looks like we have successfully paid for our one-time product, and let's go back, and it's telling us thank you, which is great. Now let's go check the back end to make sure. Okay, we are at the back end, so at this point we need to go and check on the debug logs to make sure. Go under settings, logging, and this Gravity PayPal standard add-on. Always do a refresh so that the latest show up at the very bottom. And here we go. Product one time. This is the product name. AABB is our customer. $40. All the details are right here. This is where we get all the information at the back end that they were sent, and this is where we get the return information like the transaction ID and all the information from the PayPal. Let's also make sure that our transaction is showing up at the PayPal sandbox. Okay, so once we go to the PayPal backend, we'll see this is the personal one, and this once we log in, we see that $40 got subtracted from this account. And let's go see what's happening at the buyer's end. And when we log in using our business account, and this is where we find our $40 came in successfully. Now we have to take a look at the subscription one. Okay, we are at the front end again, and this time we'll choose XXX YYY. That's our subscription guy. And subscription, let's go. Simple total and submit. All right, so since we already logged in using the buyer accounts before, so this time it did not make us log in again, so we just agree. All right, it's done. We have our transaction ID and everything, and back at the website, and let's take a quick look at the Sandbox. Let's refresh. And right there, this is a recurring payment from John Doe, which means this is a subscription payment which went through successfully to our buyer's account. And that concludes this video, where we successfully created 2 different feeds to handle subscription and one-time payment, and successfully performed both transactions and verified at the PayPal Sandbox backend. Thanks for watching.